All right, buckle up, everyone. Ready to dive deep into the heart of the tech world.
Let's do it. Always up for exploring the bleeding edge of all things tech.
Today, we're hanging out on Hacker News.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that online hangout where techies go to share what's got them clicking, thinking, and debating.
It's like a window into the collective mind of the tech world, what's exciting them, what they're working on, what they're arguing about.
And believe me, there's always something to argue about on Hacker News. But for this deep dive, we sifted through a whole day's worth of top posts, October 10th, to be precise.
The goal, to uncover those underlying trends, those hidden gems that give us a snapshot of where the tech world's at right now.
And we're going to break it all down for you, so grab your metaphorical hard hat, because things are about to get insightful up in here.
Love that energy.
Yeah.
So where do we begin this digital expedition?
Let's kick things off with the post that snagged the top spot on October 10th. Get this, it's all about wikis.
Wikis. Like those online encyclopedias, still a thing?
Oh, they're definitely still a thing. This particular post is about a website that's helping wikis migrate away from fandom.
Fandom as in where you go to nerd out about your favorite movie, show, or, let's be honest, obscure anime.
That's the one. But this migration project, it speaks to a bigger issue brewing online. Who actually controls these online communities we're all part of?
I see where you're going with this. It's that tension between these huge centralized platforms and this desire for more, let's say, user autonomy.
Exactly. It's like people are starting to rethink this whole your content lives on our servers deal.
Makes you think about the future of online communities, that's for sure.
Okay, moving on to something I'm sure we've all experienced in the age of Zoom. Those endless meetings where you're trying to share your screen and you end up accidentally showing everyone that embarrassing cat meme you sent your mom.
Oh, tell me you haven't been caught in that awkward scenario. The struggle is real.
Oh, it's real, but guess what? Hacker News to the rescue.
Always ahead of the curve, that Hacker News. What's the solution this time?
A nifty little open source project called DeskPad.
DeskPad. Tell me more.
Imagine a virtual monitor, right? But dedicated solely to presentations and screen sharing. No more accidental reveals of your messy desktop or personal browser tabs.
That's genius. A simple solution to a universal problem. Is this a sign of the open source world stepping up to solve our remote work woes?
It could very well be. This DeskPad thing, it's clearly addressing a real need for streamlined, purpose-built collaboration tools. And with more and more people working remotely these days.
The demand for elegant solutions like this is only going to increase. Definitely something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. Okay, shifting gears a bit here, let's talk gaming.
Always down for a good gaming discussion. What's piqued the interest of the Hacker News crowd?
People are actually getting high-end games to run, like really smoothly, on Asahi Linux.
Asahi Linux, that's intriguing. Linux for gaming has always been, a bit of a niche thing, right?
Right, so seeing this level of performance and excitement around it, have people wondering, is this the beginning of Linux finally breaking into the mainstream gaming world?
That would be a game changer. Imagine a gaming landscape powered by open source collaboration. Talk about shaking things up.
Speaking of shaking things up, how about a deep dive into the world of web application authentication? The Copenhagen Book is what caught my attention.
The Copenhagen Book. Sounds intriguing. Is it like a secret society of developers or something?
Not quite. It's actually a practical guide to, well, building secure authentication for web applications. And it's gaining traction for a reason. Web security is no joke.
Tell me about it. One data breach and your whole digital life is up for grabs.
Exactly. This book seems to resonate because it gets down to brass tacks on how to actually build that secure authentication, which, let's face it, can be a real headache.
The security guard's handbook for the internet, basically. Essential reading for anyone building web apps these days.
You got that right. Now, sadly, our next stop takes a bit of a somber turn.
Ooh, what's got you feeling contemplative?
News of the passing of Ratan Tata.
Ratan Tata, the Indian business tycoon. I remember reading about him.
It seems his loss is being felt deeply, and not just in the business world.
That's right. He was a huge figure in India's growth and had a big influence on their tech landscape, too.
It's a good reminder that even in a fast-paced, ever-evolving world like tech, it's important to acknowledge the people who shaped the industries we're talking about today.
Agreed. They laid the groundwork for everything we're seeing and discussing. Their legacies deserve to be remembered.
All right, so from business magnates, let's shift gears to something a little more, well, animated. Hacker News had a whole debate raging about, you guessed it, animation.
The age-old question, what makes good animation? It's so subjective, isn't it?
Tell me about it. This thread was a whirlwind of opinions.
So what were the battle lines? What were people arguing for?
You had your camp that's all about that hyper-realistic CGI, every hair rendered in perfect detail.
Right, the kind of stuff that makes you forget you're even watching animation.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, you had folks longing for the charm of hand-drawn classics.
The imperfect lines, the hand-drawn frames, there's a certain magic to that, for sure.
And don't even get people started on the merits of stop motion. It's like this whole other world of animation that sparks a whole other level of debate.
It just goes to show that even in the world of tech, where we often strive for objectivity, our personal preferences, those gut feelings we have, they still hold sway.
It's like what resonates with us aesthetically isn't always about the technical prowess. Sometimes it's about the heart, the story, the feeling the animation evokes.
Absolutely. It's about connecting with something on a deeper level. Speaking of connecting on a deeper level.
Oh, you mean this next one? This one really got the old gears turning in my brain. Mm-hmm. It's an article, get this, from way back in 1983.
1983. Now that's what I call vintage hacker news. What's got people digging up articles from the digital Stone Age?
Well, this one's called Ironies of Automation, and it basically throws down the gauntlet, challenging this assumption we often have that, automation always equals progress.
Interesting. I can see why that would resonate in our increasingly automated world. So what are the ironies they're talking about?
They dive into how simply automating a task doesn't automatically mean it's the best solution. In fact, they argue that sometimes automating something can actually create a whole new set of problems we didn't see coming.
Oh, I see. Unintended consequences and all that.
Exactly. They gave some really interesting examples of early attempts at factory automation where, maybe certain manual tasks were eliminated,
but it actually made things harder for the workers in other ways.
Exactly. Increased stress, higher workload overall, things like that.
It's a good reminder that tech, for all its wonders, isn't some kind of magical cure-all. It's about using it thoughtfully, strategically, and always with an eye on the potential downsides.
Said it better myself. Okay, you ready for one final nugget of wisdom from the depths of hacker news? This one is a quote, and it goes a little something like this. Owe your banker £1,000, you are at his mercy. Owe him £1 million, the position is reversed.
Now that is a thought-provoking quote. It really flips the script on power dynamics, doesn't it?
Right. It makes you question who really holds the cards in situations involving debt, obligation, even just power imbalances in general.
It's a good reminder that things aren't always as straightforward as they appear on the surface. There are always layers of complexity to consider.
Wow, we really went down the rabbit hole with that one. From migrating wikis to the nuances of animation to the power dynamics of debt, all thanks to a single day on Hacker News.
It's amazing, isn't it, how these seemingly random posts actually connect to these broader trends shaping the tech landscape.
It's like we've been piecing together a giant jigsaw puzzle, one Hacker News post at a time. So if this day on Hacker News is our puzzle, what's the final picture telling us? What's the takeaway for our listeners?
Well, one thing's for sure, the open source world is alive and kicking. We talked about DeskPad revolutionizing screen sharing, Asahi Linux making waves in the gaming world.
Right. It's like there's this hunger for more community-driven tech solutions, a move away from relying solely on those big tech giants.
It's about taking control, right? Building the tools we need ourselves through collaboration and innovation. But it's not just about the tools themselves, is it?
That's the thing. We're also seeing these deeper conversations happening alongside the tech itself. Like, how do we navigate this increasingly automated world? Who gets to control online spaces? What even makes good animation anyway?
It's that constant tension between the shiny new toys and those bigger questions about how tech impacts our lives, the good, the bad, and everything in between.
And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating, right? It's not just about the code or the algorithms. It's about the human stories playing out alongside it all.
Exactly. And Hacker News, for all its technical jargon and sometimes heated debates, it gives us a glimpse into those stories, a snapshot of where we're at, where we're headed, and what we're grappling with as a tech-driven society.
So for all you listeners out there, here's the takeaway. Don't let the tech jargon scare you off. Hacker News is more than just lines of code. It's a window into the future. A future we're all shaping, whether we realize it or not.
So stay curious, folks. Keep asking those tough questions and never stop exploring the ever-evolving landscape of tech and its impact on our world.
Who knows what tomorrow's top posts will bring? Until then, happy exploring, everyone.